welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. On today's video, I'll be going through a bunch of new releases ready for that June 27th Aliexpress sale that is coming up towards the end of this month. And you know, like most Aliexpress videos, I try to keep them short, believe it or not. I start off with a few watches, maybe 5, 6, but then before I know it, it spirals well out of control the deeper you go into Aliexpress. So today I'll be looking at 18 new releases on Aliexpress from a few popular brands, but there is a lot of watches to go through, so please bear that in mind. These are not recommendations, these are just me showing you some new watches that are out, and of course use your best judgment if you do want to place an order. So as always, I'll try and give you as much information with regard to specs and dimensions, but please, if I miss anything, check out the links within the description. They'll all be there so you can have a much better look. A lot of them have got quite a few orders, so please use the review rating as a gauge to see if the watch is good or not. If there's any advice I can give, I'll surely give that. You know, the end choice is always yours, so do what you can to make a well-informed decision. On wrist, I am wearing my Seestern GS Heritage Homage. That review just came out not long ago. So without further ado, let me bring you 18 new releases on Aliexpress in time for the June 27th sale that you'll be seeing. Okay, so let's start off the list with Seestern. They've got a brand new watch out just after the GS range that they made. It's called the Sub600T Homage. Now, Doxa fans out there know exactly what this watch is, and I'm surprised Seestern went for this. It's not a more of a well-known model than their previous Doxas. However, you know, this does have its own little cult following. So let's just have a quick look at the video, see what we have from Seestern. And the good thing with Seestern, you know, we're going to get a standard of quality that we know from all the watches. And looking at some of the pictures, I think it's got really good looks. It is quite a faithful homage. I like the case shape and how the end links do seem to fit really well. And the bracelet, you know, just from pictures, for the most part, does seem to look good. Now, you've got a bunch of color options as well. You've got your silver, blue, light blue, white, black, yellow, orange, you know, the classical colors. Let's see if you can see some more close-ups, and that looks pretty good. I'm assuming there's a loomed date wheel and a loomed bezel from what I can tell, maybe the 12 o'clock marker. Flat case back. So let's see some real pictures of some of the different colors. There's the orange, that blue, yellow, silver, black, white, and dark blue, and they look good. You know, I'm hoping definitely to get one of these in. Knowing Seestern, I'm hoping they should send me one. And let's see if you can see some more close-ups. The Seestern clasp that we know, no changes to that. And the bracelet looks good. It's got those mini links, like chocolate bar links. You can see some nice detailing present, some brushing, some polishing. Let's take a closer look at the case. That's a nice crown there. As I said, with the loom, BGW9, loom date wheel, and that pip at 12 o'clock on the bezel. So that's nice to see. I'm sure they've taken a learning curve as well from the previous Doxa models, you know, to include loom where they need to, make sure the bezel's accurate, which they did. And looking a bit closer at the case, I can see some really nice highlights present. You can see a brushed A-face, a polished side profile, some linear brushing, really nice. The level of brushing in the pictures looks quite fine as well. Offset logos. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and this looks good. And in the pictures, the bracelet end links seem to fit just right as well. Very nice case. So quite a faithful homage to the 600T. So let's see how well this does. And I think for £150, that is a lot of watch. But this is definitely one to look out for, especially if you do like this case. Now, moving on. Because it's a new release, I'll mention it, but I'll just review these. This is the Seestern GS Heritage homages. You can see the full review for this watch. I won't go into too much detail, but I gotta say they have done so well with this watch. And you know, for just under like $225, around the £200 mark, I think it's a fantastic looking watch, and you do get a lot of watch for your money. And I'll also check out Seestern Watches website, where you get a bit of a discount and the price is slightly cheaper. Moving on, we've got a tactical frog. It's been a long time since I've seen anything from the frog. Now, this is their newest release. It's powered by a solar quartz movement, the VS75A from Seiko. Now, I have a few Seiko solar quartz movements. I gotta say, those movements are incredible. They power up so quick, and they hold the charge for such a long time. Really good movements and very, very accurate. So looking at this tactical frog, it seems to be a Speedmaster homage, or a Speedtimer, should I say. Apologies. Yeah, so the new Seiko Speedtimer, this is, you know, in line with that pretty much. I know you got a bit of Daytona in there, but so do you have with the Speedtimer, similar sort of setup. You also got a date window. Looking at some of the closer details, the case seems really well made. You've got the brush sides, you've got that polish highlight that goes around the profile of the case, brush lugs, really nice dial. You've got a few different color options, so let's have a look at them. You've got a white, you've got this cream with some texture, you've got more for orangey beige dial. Of course, you've got the teal or the Tiffany blue, which does look quite awesome for summer. And you've got black on black. I would like something different because I want to see those subdials distinguished. And you've got a darker brown sort of color. Okay, the one thing that you'll see at the 12 o'clock, which is quite cool, I gotta say, is that frog logo at the 12. And also, if you can see in the rehaut area, you've got tactical frog. So a nice touch. There's a lot of workmanship gone into this. Crowns, you can also see screw down crowns on the pushers and on the actual crown as well. So 200 meters of water resistance, screw down case back. So a lot of spec, and the movement, it is a good movement. And I think for the most part, because there's no moving parts on the case like a bezel, that should be good. The bezel construction looks awesome. And yeah, you got the subdials that of course will be fully functioning. I think the only thing that will probably let this down, or it won't be amazing, is that bracelet. It seems like a normal 3-link oyster style bracelet. I think that's got screw-in links, but yeah, they are a bit flimsy, you know, brushed, but they are actually decent. You've got twin pushers on the clasp, like a Pagani design clasp, so that's not bad. Anything else that we can see? Say a closer look at some of these pictures here. Yeah, so that fixed bezel, nicely polished, brushed on the edge. That brushing looks to be satinized. And I gotta say, by pictures, you know, I think the watch will be good. Like I said, the bracelet might just be standard. It won't be anything amazing, but this watch will look fantastic on a bunch of different straps as well. There's no information on the lug to lug, but with this style of case, I'd assume it's around the 48 to 49 millimeters, if not at 50 mil. So these cases are generally quite long, and you can see no drill lugs, which is a shame. But, you know, I still think this is a watch worth looking at. Next on the list, we've got one from Baltany. As you guys know, Baltany are the vintage watch masters. So this is the newest release. It's a tribute to the olden 1920s watch, that rectangular case shape. And you've got two options here. You've got a beat up case that you see in the picture. No, it's not just a worn one. And then you've got a fully polished one. So they will get one if you wanted to, a case and beat it up basically. So you've got two options: steel, color polished, and handmade old. And you've got two different dial options. You've got this olden style dial, slightly patinaed, off white, and then you've got a mother of pearl white dial with the blued hands. So that looks quite good. And of course, numeral Arabics all around the dial. And the fantastic thing with this is it's powered by a Miyota 9015, which is a high beat Miyota movement, and that's a cracking movement that is very reliable and very accurate. So in terms of dimension on this one, you've got a 36 millimeter case, 43 millimeter lug to lug, and 11 mil thickness. Overall weight about 60 grams. And I think this is a really good watch. I love that coin edge bezel, that static bezel. You've got nice crown as well. I think they've done great with the retro dimensions, the looks, and the specs. I believe this does have a sapphire crystal screw down case back, and perhaps this crown is screwed down as well, but pardon me if I do make any mistakes on these specs. There's not a lot of information on a lot of these websites, but looking at that mop dial with that blue, I think really good, and that movement in there, fantastic. The price is £230, a bit pricey, but I think given the specs, I think it is quite justifiable. And if you really like these olden vintage style watches, you've got that sapphire crystal and the high beam movement, I think this is one for you, and the great dimensions, by the way. So let us go on to the next watch, and now we step into the realm of San Martin. Now San Martin have done a bit of a Pagani design. They have released so many models in a very short amount of time. So this is the SM57 or the SN0101 GJS, and this is a bit of a cross, in my opinion, between a Daytona and an Omega. They use the ST19 movement, the seagull movement, and the good thing with this one, it doesn't have a screwed hand crown. This time they've gone for a push and pull crown. I think in that video the loom didn't look the best, might be a little bit poor, but we have seen that from San Martin occasionally. But aside from that, I think The finishing, you know, San Martin have got incredible finishing, and you can see that bracelet, very Omega like bracelet with the San Martin clasp, finished wonderfully. You got some great brushing present, some nice polishing, but you know, it's a given San Martin will have impeccable finishing on this watch. You've got a brushed bezel, I believe. You've got some brushing on the case, that polished highlight along the side of the case, some polished features present on the bracelet. Got that, it looks like a box style sapphire if I'm not mistaken. That cream dial with the black sub dials, quite good looking. You do have a few colors. Let's see what they have available. You've got a white panda, black and silver panda, you've got a red, a green, a sunburst blue, and then no logo as well. Pushes are pretty much standard for the SD19, nothing different there. As I said, pushable crown. You've got a box style sapphire crystal, which looks good on that case. Really nice fine brushing, those polished lugs on the edges. As I said before, yeah, all present. Polished links, polished outer links, brushed center links. So the bracelet is going to be incredible, and that detail on the case, it just says it all. And you know, these aren't false pictures. This is what you see in real life. You got applied batons, and I think the loom will be a little bit weak, but you can see how thin the batons are. But again, it's a non-diver, so as long as there's a bit of loom, I suppose it doesn't really matter. You got some nice detailed sub dials, crown hex logo, signed, no signed case back. And yeah, the only thing I'd say watch out for is sharp edges. And I think on the side of the case, this is where you have to see it's not overly sharp or overly uncomfortable. But the rest of the watch, fully polished hands, it looks good. But it's bound to look good when it's £300, so it's a lot of money. And you know what I'll do, I won't talk about price on San Martin too much. I won't make a point of it, because we know San Martin watches are very expensive now. They do hit the top tier on AliExpress, so no point just moaning about it, is there? So yeah, £300 for this one. And let's have a look at the next watch on the list. Now this one, I really don't mind the price on this one, because let's have a look. Of course, they're homaging the PRX Tissot. This is the San Martin SN0023. Loom doesn't look the best, but the watch looks incredible. I love everything they've done on it. Very close homage to the Tissot PRX. You got a box sapphire crystal. You got 2 or 3 dial combinations. You've got that silvery white dial sunburst, you've got the blue sunburst, and you've got a black dial. Applied batons, hour markers, rectangular hands, that polished edge around the whole case, linear brushing on the A face, brush bracelet, integrated bracelet as well. Nice little crown, signed of course, satinized brushing present along the side of the case. I think this watch looks incredible. A really nice butterfly clasp. I think that looks quite solid. I've not seen a butterfly clasp before. Gives you good closure on the bracelet. It's almost seamless. That polished bezel. It's a really good looking watch, and I actually do like the Tissot PRX. I think it's a bit expensive. You know, I don't really want to spend that much on the Tissot, but I wouldn't mind spending it on this. It comes with the Miyota 9015, which is a high beat movement, and honestly, I'd prefer the Miyota over the PT5000. The price for this is just under £280. You're looking at £269. That's what it says on screen. Well, it could be cheaper in the sale. But yeah, again, San Martin, you know, the things that, you know, rest assured, the finishing will be amazing. But it's just, like I said, sharp edges are good to watch out for. If you take a closer look at the bracelet, you can see they've also got quick release spring bars. So that's definitely nice. And I think it's these little features which, you know, do add to cost, all that little attention to detail. And you've got choice of logos. You can have a printed San Martin hex logo, a script San Martin logo. You can have the block letter San Martin logo, as you can see, or just go for the applied hex. I mean, I do like the applied hex. I know a lot of people don't, but that's just me there. But really good colors. I'd definitely go for the blue one. And this is something I'm going to look at getting in from San Martin. Okay, next up on that San Martin, what do we have? We have a Seiko Superior homage. This one kind of blew me away a bit, because it's not a watch that you think anybody would homage. But from what I can see, they've done an amazing job on it. A lot of facets present on the case. Of course, it's a 70s 80s retro vintage watch homaging the Seiko. You've got the dual calendar, which I don't like the date already. It takes up too much of that gorgeous looking dial. Ideally minimum just a date complication, and preferably at 6 o'clock. But look at the markers. You know, I've not seen these kind of markers before. Sort of stepped markers. You can see the hand sort of glide through the inner part, and the outer part remains raised. A lot of polishing going on this case, with some nice satinized brushing, fixed bezel, And it's a good looking watch, I have to say. I think it's 18 millimeters on the log width, integrated logs. That detailing, awesome. I love that dial. Yeah, hands are a bit short, but I understand why, because they've got to go through the inside of those applied markers, and you have to give it to San Martin. That is some amazing build quality that I can see. So let's scroll down a bit more, let's take a closer look. And the watch runs the Seagull ST2100, which is a ETA 28362 clone. So you'll have a high beat movement as well, which is always a bonus to have. Box sapphire crystal, nicely polished bezel, polished case, and yeah, it looks good. But the date I think doesn't really do it for me. I would love to have it without the date. And man, look at that detailing. Wow, look at that dial. San Martin gives awesome close-ups, and they're not always fake. All the pictures are legit because you can see that with your eyes. So yeah, some really nice detailing present. Wow, gotta say, I like it, but that date kind of spoils it for me. Okay, next one. So this is the San Martin SN058. Now I have reviewed the SN059, which was the bigger one. I think that was 39 or 40 millimeters. I had the mother of pearl dial. Love that watch. Incredibly well finished, so smooth, such a silky feel, really nice bezel, great bracelet. And I think it'd be fair to say that this will have all those same qualities, but it's a lot smaller. This one comes in at 36.5 millimeters with a 43 millimeter log to log and a 12 mil thickness. Now, of course, being San Martin, this one will come with two movement options, the PT5000 and the SW200. The PT will set you back at £260 and the SW around £380. A lot of money there. One thing which I don't really like is that date frame under a magnification glass. It does kind of get in the way. There needs to be no date frame basically if you're going to use a magnification window. But yeah, I suppose that's something small. But a lot of colors. You've got enamel dials, you've got some sunburst dials. Let's have a quick look at some of the pictures present. That is really good polishing, very smooth case. I think the problem I had with mine, the crown was a bit fidgety, but with such a small crown it will be fidgety. You really got to use the nails or the tips of your fingers to kind of manipulate that crown. Really nicely done hands. Of course, being San Martin, quick look at the pictures. You've got enamel blue, you've got orangey yellow, green, red, sunburst blue, sunburst green, black, and yet logo and no logo options. So a lot of variants from San Martin on here. See if you can look at any close-ups. Let's go down a bit, and I'll consciously try to scroll a bit slower. I know I've been told to scroll down too fast. Yeah, nice fluted bezel. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice watch. So it should be a good seller, and with the price, £260, I get it. With a lot going on, but SW200, not for me. Too expensive, right? Now moving on to another sort of cross homage from San Martin. This one looks like a mix between a Seiko MM300, then an Omega. You got a bit of Aquaterra in there, and definitely some Omega looks. So I don't mind them, to be honest, because when you merge all these homages together, I suppose you take the best bits from every single one. And looking at some of these close-ups on video that you can see, again, that San Martin polishing, that San Martin finishing, the hands, the dial, everything is immaculate and impeccable. I'm just going to stop talking about it and just give you some specs and stats, because all the watches are done to a really high degree. It's like I said, the only thing to worry about them is maybe just sharp edges. Now that's the only thing they've got to focus on, because they have actually just mastered everything. Bezel rotations are awesome, bracelets are good, the clasps are great, and of course that comes with the price. Now this one isn't too bad on the price. It is around £190 or 223, but that is because you've got two movement options. Now this is where it's probably going to be a bit of a turn off. You've got the Miyota 8215, which comes in £190. Now the Miyota 8215 does have a few issues. It is a very reliable movement, it is accurate, it doesn't hack though, but it's also got that bouncing seconds hand that seems to just drop when you turn the watch on its side, which is a flaw in the movement. But the 8315, I think that's a newer movement, but that remedies those issues, and it also hacks. So 223 with the Miyota 8315, which is similar to, I'll say, the NH85, but it does have a 60-hour power reserve, which is a lot, to be honest. So I don't know how you weigh that up. I think you get a lot with this watch, considering it's got a bezel. It's going to have good lube. Really nice handset used, great looking case, a lot of details present, as I've said. Now moving on to the next one, we have these dress watches. So we've got the Martin SN0101 P. This is a 38mm dress watch. This is the automatic version. They also do a quartz version, which I'll show you after this. It comes with a PT5000, and it also comes with a SW200, I'm sure. And then yeah, sunburst pink, or salmon should we say. Also comes in silver and black. Very classical looks, really nice long curved lugs. Yeah, I think it looks okay, quite elegant. You know, they've got that scripted text on the top and nothing on the bottom, so very clean dial, very symmetrical as well. And that crown, I love that crown, I gotta say. It's like a double helix sort of pattern. If I zoom in a bit, you can see how it's got like this turn in there, so I really like how they've done that crown. It's probably a standout feature of that case. Nothing on the case back, but gorgeous curved lugs. So it's got some really nice classical you know, dress watch features. It brushed sides of the case, drill lugs, sapphire crystal. So yeah, as always, fine detailing present. Now let's move on to the quartz version. Pretty much the same, 38mm, but you do have two movements. You've got the Swiss Ronda quartz movement, you've got 6004, and you've got the 715 movement. So you can choose between the two. And it's much cheaper, right? So if you don't really want the auto, you don't want to spend 250 odd quid, then definitely go for this one. It's at £104. You know, I think it'll be a bit cheaper when the sales do come. And that quartz movements are reliable. It's a pick up and go watch, plus it's Swiss as well, so you'll get some really good accuracy out of it. And yeah, that looks a lot better, I suppose. But it doesn't have a sapphire crystal, it has a hardlex mineral crystal. Yeah, so I think they're trying to save some cost there. That's why it's at £100. We've got the Steeldive SD1940 It's been a while since I looked at Steeldive, and one thing with Steeldive, very budget friendly. They'll give you a watch that is just decent and above, and it'll do the job. So you're looking at this field watch, fully brushed, so that tool aesthetic. Don't worry about scratches on the polished bracelets or the polished bezels. The bracelet is going to be a bit cheap, in all honesty, but you can have a steel one, or you can have the option of a leather style strap. I'd preferably go for the leather one. But on the dial, you can see Hamilton numerals. You got a field dial, of course, cathedralized hands, and yeah, a very simple pilot watch. £100. I don't think you can go wrong. It's got BGW9 lume on the hands and dial. You know, it's going to be a people pleaser. If you want a cheap watch, or a field watch, sorry, should I say, I think this is the one to go for. Yeah, good standard looks. I think it'll be a great tool watch, good field watch as well. Now I do have one more Steeldive to look at, and that is the Tuna series, the Steeldive SD1975. Best value for money tuna out there. I've not seen any more that are better value for money, in all honesty. Now what I like about this one is the coloration, the orange on the bezel with that white, and those plongio style coloration on those hands. Again, tuna hands, and look at that lume shot, great. It's not gonna be as bright as that, of course. The orange is a lot duller, but just to see all those different colors on the watch, I think it's pretty cool. It doesn't look over the top, but that orange definitely makes it stand out. It gives it that special color to an otherwise sort of drab looking watch. But in terms of quality, they're good. The bracelets are okay, you know, they're not the best, and the bezel action is 50-50 sometimes. Sometimes it's good, and just sometimes it really isn't. But in terms of the brushing and the finishing, you know, anybody who's had one knows it's a solid watch, and on Aliexpress, this is the best tuna homage. So just quickly show you another color, that Tiffany blue. Again, quite vibrant, quite summery. It's one to basically look at if you are considering a bit more of a fun tuna. So we can move away from that, because I've reviewed the life out of these, no need to talk about them. And moving on to Heimdallr. This is the Heimdallr turtle. Now they've got a new dial going on here. I don't know if these are limited edition in Seiko, but I have seen these dials before. These are cracked sort of lava dials. You know, nice colorway, definitely. And Heimdallr dials are really good. You know, they've got super quality on there. And the watch, the turtle watch, the case is really nice. Bracelet's okay, so it's not poor, and it's not great either. But you know, the dial, the hands, everything will be great on there. The only concern on Heimdallr watches is again that bezel rotation. They're not always the best. You don't really get consistency in that bezel rotation, and the bezel on this is quite thick. It's an older bezel. I wish they go for like a newer design, slightly make it a bit thinner. I didn't get much dimension on the website, so it's 44 millimeters in diameter, so I'm gonna assume it's around 47.5 mil in lug to lug, because that is what the original is, and around 13.5 mil thick, if not close to 14. But it's definitely one to look at if you're a fan of turtles. I mean, just look at the dial quality, and Heimdallr always give good dial quality. Only thing missing from these dials, no date frame. It just looks a bit unfinished, but other than that, the texture, the color looks fantastic. So we got the Pagani design, the PD1692. This is the Air King Homage. It's a 40mm watch, and with Pagani design, you know, they please a lot of people. They get a lot of orders. We know the issues, right? There's no bezel here, so that's fine. As in a rotating bezel, it does have a fixed polish bezel, and the loom is going to be okay. They have slightly started to improve it, but I'm still not fully satisfied with that loom. Still is slightly patchy, etc. But it is better than it used to be. Now, we've got the green seconds hand, the green automatic text, and you know, 5 stars out of 75 orders. What else can you say? You know, people will like it because you do get good value for money from them. You've got a 40mm case, and the only thing they tell us is a 12mm thickness. We don't really have any information on the lug to lug, but as I said, a lot of happy and satisfied people. Let me just give you a loom shot that someone's taken. So yeah, not the best. You can see the triangle at 12 o'clock and the numerals that have lit up. I don't really see any loom from the other markers in between. Maybe some here, but yeah, the loom isn't going to be great. 200 meters of water resistance as well, and the price is around £100. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, a good budget-friendly watch. And I think the clasp was different on this one. It does have a sort of a flip lock clasp. Normally they have the twin pushers. I believe I saw that in a picture. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to another new release from Pagani design. Now this one is a fantastic watch. I've seen the reviews on it, and I know a lot of people are raving about these. It's a Longine Spirit Homage, 38mm with a 45mm lug to lug and 13mm thickness, the PD1717. They did turn it around and give us a version 2, basically making the handset a bit longer. But a lot of people love this. They're saying good things about the bracelet, about the watch case. That 38mm is a sweet spot. We all know that. 200 meters of water resistance, Seiko NS35. So you can't go wrong with this. I mean, the prices are varying from around £109 to 118, depending on what kind of box you go for. Let's see if we can see anything else. Any close-up pictures. I like the color options. You've got silver, you've got this deep blue sunburst, and you like that green. I personally like that green with that red seconds hand, quite military, I suppose, and feel like. And yeah, and the reviews and the pictures that I've seen online, really good finishing present as well. So Pagani just need to maintain that, I suppose, going into the near future. The last but not least, so it's not a new watch. It's the Merkur salmon dial that I looked at, but they have come out with a beads of rice bracelet, and I have checked the Merkur store. They do have some in stock, so I'll definitely check them out. The beads of rice bracelet looks amazing, really well paid with the case, and it's a fantastic little watch. My one, I really do love it. Well, I loved it up until I broke the watch, but yeah, that was my problem. But the bracelet looks good. They've got them on a lot of other watches as well. That 38mm case and that box style Harlex crystal is great. They've got some great proportions. It sits so well on the wrist. The crown is nice. Everything about that watch is just so pleasing. It's a mechanical hand wind movement. Just be careful how you wind it. Don't keep overly winding it like I did, causing it to snap. Looking at some of the reviews, excellent. Let's see if I can get a picture on the bracelet for you guys. There you go. Real life picture is always better. And yeah, great fit and finish. I love that little watch, and under £100 you can't go wrong. And you know, check out the other watches as well. They do have a few other noteworthy watches. Some of the other designs that I looked at, they've now come out with a bracelet. There is a California dial that I want to quickly look at, CZ, and they've given some poor pictures, nothing straight on, but yeah, apparently it's an enamel dial, some sunburst on there, slightly different to the other cases, still 38mm, that fixed bezel, really nice length on those hands. I think it's again another mechanical hand winding watch, so really good watch to look at. Definitely consider it around the £100 mark as well. So that is it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. I understand it's a very long video, but you do have a lot of fantastic suggestions. If you do want to check any of them out, add them to your basket and get ready for that June 27th sale. Please use the links in the description. And thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.